Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the Old Geezers show. On Saturday afternoon, it's 12:45. As ever, we're running a bit late, and as ever, I picked up not exactly the right thing I needed to pick up. So I'll go and pick that up now. You'll just have to put up with me, I'm afraid. But this won't take more than a couple of minutes, and we'll just get this done. What we're talking about is an interesting topic from my point of view. From my point of view, I've had this idea in the back of my head for ages and ages, ever since really since COVID started. And I'm going to talk about that a bit more because this morning I read a piece that I thought was absolutely excellent. And I'm just going to make sure I can get to that, which is one of those things that sometimes happens when you're doing a live piece. Stuff that you think happens doesn't happen. So there we go. Let's get rid of all the stuff on the screen and then we can go a bit better. Okay, so there you go. That's me. And this is the Old Geezers show. We try and do a regular show 4 or 5 times a week live and another couple of shows during the week. This last week, we've done a lot of stuff about dentistry in the UK. And to be honest with you, I am gobsmacked by Mr. Sunak's response to that question in Parliament the other day that we publicised, where he said, dentists have new contracts, they've got money, all of this is nonsense and just demonstrates the fact that our government tells lies. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Let's get on to it. And first of all, let me take you to the place where this all started, and we're going back to 2020. This is a straightforward clip from an article written by this man, Jeremy Warner, who is an associate editor of the Daily Telegraph, I think. And he wrote back in 2020, March 2020, not to put too fine a point on it, from an entirely disinterested economic perspective, the COVID-19 might even prove mildly beneficial in the long term by disproportionately culling elderly relatives. I have to ask, kind of, what do you think of that as a straight comment? Jeremy Warner is rated as being someone with a direct line to the government, or to the Tory party, should I say. And that was his view at that time. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that that came from somewhere in the government as a viewpoint. They probably said, well, if it kills a few 100,000 people or a few thousand people, then each of those 1,000 people is going to save us 10 or 20,000 a year in pension and benefits and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of all right, isn't it, really? And now we have allegedly 500 people a day who are dying because they're not getting into hospital in time or because something else is going wrong. All of those people, that's loads of money being saved by the government on pensions and benefits. And you have to wonder in the back of your mind whether that thought from Jeremy Warner rung through. And then today I read this excellent article by a man called Martin Waller, who used to be a Times and Sunday Times journalist. And this was in a website called East Anglia Bylines. And Martin Waller said, have they now simply not cared about the death toll brought about by the predictable crisis in the NHS? The Tories and their dependents are protected because of private health cover. It's a chilling thought, but would it explain the relative inactivity on the NHS up to now? What's a few thousand dead if they're old and unproductive? In the long run, it saves on pension and healthcare costs. Now, Martin Waller is very careful to say he is only raising the idea. He thinks it could be far-fetched. But this, again, we pop up with that quote from Jeremy Warner. From an entirely disinterested economic perspective, the COVID-19 might even prove mildly beneficial in the long term by disproportionately culling elderly relatives. And he finishes his article by saying, It's that word culling that really strikes a chill, isn't it? And I have to tell you, yeah, it is actually, as it happens. I think Martin Waller has got it dead right. I think the reality is that government, all the people in government, most of MPs on the Tory side, certainly probably many of the Labour MPs, will have private medical insurance and medical care. Do they care about the people who don't have? Well, yeah, we care, oh, yeah, we care. But in reality, I think, to be honest with you, they're not going to get that bothered if someone's granny 50 miles away died because she couldn't get into hospital. They're going to say, oh, that's really sad. And think as long as it's not my granny, we'll be all right. I'm sorry, guys, but that's how I know that politicians think, and Tory politicians, I think, are, well, they probably think it more than Labour politicians. I don't know. You never know, do you? The reality on all of these things is that members of Parliament govern our country, and they do a balancing trick, and the balancing trick is money. The Tories want to pick up the NHS again. Oh, yeah, we'll do loads of stuff for the NHS. We'll get the NHS back on its feet. How are you going to pay for it, guys? The Tories are terrified of raising taxes because if they do that, they know they're going to lose the election anyway. So you have that one. And then where's the money coming from? Well, it might just come from old people snuffing it and not getting their benefits and not getting their pensions. Take the nerves out of it, guys. This is a really genuinely scary little situation. And that's what we got someone saying. Daniel, okay. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. That is spot on. Let's just put that up again. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. Yeah, how worthwhile is that, guys? So what are we looking at? We are looking at, I guess, really a government that tells lies all the time. They told lies last week about the dentistry situation. Mr. Sunak directly in Parliament told some direct lies that the British Dental Association identified on the spot there. And now they're, I think, telling lots of lies about the way the NHS is being treated. The NHS, the deaths, shall I say, in the older people who could be treated but are being held up in ambulances, who are being held up in A&E, and all those problems are actually, that's not bad from the Tory point of view, because we now have to come on to the other point about all this, which is that from the way things are looking, I would believe that if this goes on much longer with the Tories not doing much about it, we are talking about them finding a way of dissing, if you like, the ambulance guys and the nurses by saying, look, all these people who died in this strike was by the nurses and by the ambulance guys, and they killed all these people. Well, no, that's not the case. The truth is the government has killed all these people directly. We hire a government, let's be honest, we pay their wages. We hire the government to look after our interests. And what the government instead is doing in the UK now is killing mostly old people because of their attitude to the NHS. Is that straight enough for you? I hope it is. I hope we can actually kind of kick this government, because it deserves a kick. It deserves a kick up the butt to get moving, to sort this situation out, to get our NHS, not theirs, our NHS back on the road. I'm Chris, this is the Old Geezer Show. It's been a little bit of a difficult one because from my point of view, oh, hey, well done. From my point of view, it's a difficult subject. Let us just go back to Daniel there. Governments are pretty well known for lying to the public. Well, that's true. It's generally part of their actual policy. Historically, all governments lie, yeah. I think you're telling the truth, Daniel. I certainly think it's always been true that governments tell porkies to us people. And one of the things that I want to do with the Old Geezer Show is to kind of open them out a bit and wave the flag. If you've been watching the show, if you're going to watch the show, if you watch it on catch up or whatever, then from my point of view, give us a shout. We're I'm always happy to read your comments. Agree with me or disagree with me, I don't care. You're entitled to your viewpoint. And if you come back enough, then we'll do another show to catch up on what we've said. So let's just go back and sum up what we were saying. I'll just bring that title piece up again to say what we got. Are NHS deaths unofficial government policy? And what's my answer? Yeah, I think so. I think they don't care. And I think having a few hundred people die a day is going to cut the bill down. And they may be able to put some of that money into the NHS at some point, but probably not. Okay, I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezers Show. And once again, I have to give you a big thanks for watching. Hope you'll find it interesting. I do want to hear from you. Get in touch. Let me know what you're thinking. And with that, I wish you all the best. Avoid hospitals.